little fan. That's my favorite purchase we've made in a while is our little fan.
Yeah.
I like it. I like living in a place where you can, like, if it's warm inside, you can just open a window and put a fan on, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy to me as a child of the desert.
I know, like, people getting confused with our hoodies. Like, we're used to it being 80 degrees right now.
Yeah. At least.
Yeah.
At least 80, if not already in the 90s. So, one of those things. But, I mean, it's like, what would you say it is out here right now? 67? What does it say?
It says
67, 68 degrees?
hold on.
I'd say something like that. That's my guess.
Right now it's 54.
54? Jesus. See what I mean? That's hoodie weather. You can't be capping on us, dude. We live up north, okay? Where the warmth is slow to come and doesn't stay as long.
But yeah, it's next week though. Or like the very end of next week, beginning of the week after, that it's gonna start getting toasty.
By toasty, you mean 70, 78.
Yeah.
We're too spoiled.
Well, the downside is, you know, if it's 78 outside, if we don't do any heat mitigation measures, it's gonna be like 80 something in the house.
Which it would be where we came from anyway, blasting the AC at max.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying? We might get a little bit uncomfortable 1 or 2 days this summer. Whereas we spent the entirety of the summer uncomfortable with the AC cranking.
And
paying out the butthole just to make it to where we were uncomfortable, not unlivable. Hello, 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 hello. How are you guys doing today? Hydrangeas? No, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemums. What it do? What it do? What it do? What it do? What it do?
Did you bring a pine cone up here, dear, or did the pine cone just fall?
I bet it just fell. It came a rolling, blowing with some wind. Ka-clunk. I pay more heat. I doubt it. I doubt you, maybe, but I doubt you pay more for heat than I paid for cooling in Central California. Doubt.
It was
$800 a month sometimes. $800 per month for your electrical bill. Can you beat that for a house? Not for a mansion, not for a complex, not for a giant business, for a normal size suburban house. Just to keep it below
just
90
below
in the
90,
house.
Yeah.
$800 a month. Unthinkable. Undoable. Retarded. Community leaderboard, bro. Don't even ask. It's nothing. It's literally nothing. YouTube added a monkey button, hoping to drive more engagement, I think, is all it is.
It doesn't last.
It doesn't last. It doesn't make any sense. It's not based on anything that I can measure. It's just a monkey button that they put to get people to talk more, I think, to try and get the monkey button. That's insane. That's pretty common where we moved from. If you've got a house, now our house was probably a little worse than some other houses because it was just really poorly designed for the desert. It had cathedral ceilings, which all that means is you just don't have an attic. Like your attic space is visible from inside the house and it goes all the way up. And that makes cooling the house insanely more expensive.
But I mean, like, I was looking around on Nextdoor and I wasn't seeing numbers too different than
No.
other people's shit.
No, it's 100% the same thing. Other people probably weren't running their shit as long as we were because they were, I don't know,
Out of
just
the house.
out of
More.
the house most of the day and toughing it out, and then they just open the windows up when they got home or whatever. But even that, like, when you're dead in the middle of the summer in Central California, it doesn't cool down at night. Not appreciably. It could be 110 during the day, and it might cool down to 95 at night. That's retarded. Oh my God. I play any instruments? No. Where you moved to now? I moved from Hanford, California. Hanford, yeah. Well, that's in the valley. You know what I'm talking about. I'll just tell you, I moved north. I went north. And I have a feeling that a lot of human beings in the next 20 years are going to be doing the exact same thing. North is going to be pretty much the only choice for a lot of people. South as well. Basically, everybody that lives in the equatorial belt of the planet Earth is going to be fleeing that area. It's about a third of the planet lives on the equatorial belt. They're going to be fleeing that area within the next 15 to 20 years because wet bulb temperature is going to make it unlivable in those areas. And it's going to destroy the economies of those areas, and it's going to be a wasteland. 50 years from now, there probably won't even be human beings on the equatorial belt unless they're there for scientific experiments with tons of protective gear. But currently, unfortunately for us, about a third of the planet lives there. And about a third of the planet is going to be fleeing for their lives in about 15 to 20 years.
And what will your country do?
What will all the countries do? What will your country do when just to the north or to the south of it is completely uninhabitable and there are billions fleeing? Oh, dude, when I lived in the Central Valley, like, I've got really bad allergies even still. My allergies were 3 times as bad as they are now in the Central Valley. At least. Like, I felt like I was dying. Here, it's just kind of like, I got the sniffles, feel run down and shit. Yeah, the valley. Well, because like, living there, right? You know that the valley gets all the smoke from LA, right? Or a lot of the smog from LA passes through and over the mountain pass and settles on the valley floor. So all like those beautiful, fast, strong Santa Ana winds that cause so many fire problems in the LA basin, they also help the LA basin by carrying a lot of that fucking putrid air inland. Unfortunately, there's a big valley, and that air just kind of stagnates over the valley in the summer. Dude, have you ever seen a dirty sunset? Amelia's seen one. Mm-hmm. Most people have never seen a dirty sunset before. They're actually kind of beautiful, but also kind of disgusting. It's when the sky is just shit brown, and instead of getting that nice orange red color, you get this dull, glowing, oozing brown color in the sky because the sunlight is filtering through all the particulate. It's called a dirty sunset. How does it compare to a dust storm sunset? Well, dust storms, like, see, the dust storms I've been through, visibility is about 20 feet. So you can't really, dust storm sunset ain't quite it. This is a sunset where you can see all the way to the horizon, but the air is so filthy. It is this dark red, chocolatey brown. It's like no other color you've ever seen in the sky. And it's kind of beautiful the first time you see it until you realize what it is. Like, it's the sun filtering through tons of pollution, smoke, dust, dirt, chemicals, all that shit. How's Alaska treating me? I'm not that far north, friend. Although I won't lie to you and tell you I haven't considered it. What would you tell someone moving to Fresno? I might have a work opportunity there. Don't.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'll be dead ass with you. Upsides to Fresno. You are 2 hours from everything in California. You can be 2 to whatever. Let's just make it 2.
Yeah.
You're 2 hours and change from anything that you want to see in California. Right? You want to go to the beach. You want to go to the mountains. You want to go to the desert. You want to go to a lake. You want to go to a pond. You want to go to
big
a
city,
big giant city. Right? You're about a couple hours from fucking everything. Tons of people live in the Fresno, Madera, Modesto, Merced area. That Central Valley. So the heart of the Central Valley, because the spider web of, transportation kind of leads through it. The heart, like the main artery of California is 99. It cuts all the way from Mexico up through Oregon and beyond. Well, I mean, it eventually turns into something else when it reaches Oregon, but you get my drift. 99, you're right on it in all of those towns, and that gets you, it's about 2 hours to anything. Now, if you want to go specific places in California because it's so long, it's like a 5-hour drive to San Diego, about a 4.5-hour drive to LA if you take the straight shot. That's the upside. The downside is it's 110 degrees for about 3 months a year. I would say from May through September, you can expect triple-digit heat. And the fall basically doesn't exist. There's 2 seasons in the Central Valley, winter and summer. And there is no spring. It goes from rainy, gray, chilly weather to hot weather in about 2 weeks, if that. The air quality is hot fucking garbage. What I used to tell people about the area was, hey, it sucks, but it's cheap. You're in California and it's relatively cheap compared to San Francisco, compared to Diego, compared to LA, right? Not anymore. No, LA is like the most expensive, one of the most expensive zip codes. San Diego still beats it, but Fresno can't even claim to be cheap anymore. It's expensive to live there. Cost of living is high. Electrical cost is going to be through the fucking roof, right? Because you're just going to, it's literally, you have to run the AC. You would die indoors. It turns your home into an oven. So you have to run AC. You have to have some way of cycling the air out of your house. Yeah. Economy is dog shit in the area as well. So houses are stagnant. If you're looking to move there, the housing market has been stagnant for about 10 years. It's overpriced by about half, at least, given what you're going to get. Hard to find a job. A lot of crime. It's not a very, like, people are just pissed off in that city. And that's the truth with a lot of big cities. Like, people are just pissed off, and pissed off people get pissed off, and they do pissed off things. And that happens a lot in Fresno. You know, a lot of shootings, a lot of robberies, a lot of gang violence, physical assaults, and that sort of thing.
Oh, and the hospitals too. You better be ready to wait in the ER because the whole county over has to use Fresno's hospitals.
Yeah, yeah. Fresno's hospitals are absolutely overflowing at the gills. I know that's true of a lot of hospitals, but you know, I'm speaking for Fresno. You ever have to go to the hospital, you're looking at waiting 6 hours to be seen unless you're literally bleeding out. You know, you just may as well not even go. Just wait and go to an urgent care or some shit the next morning because you're going to sit in the waiting room suffering with whatever you got for 6 hours till somebody even calls your name. That's the way it works.
The DMV was dog shit.
That's California, though. That's
Yeah.
California's DMV system is capital D dog shit. It is the worst DMV system in the country.
There's literally a line out the door.
Yes. You have to
around the building.
You have to show up before it opens,
like
and
an hour before it opens.
yeah, you have to show up before it opens and line up outside like you're going to see a rock star, and you want to make sure you get good seats because otherwise you won't get seen. So, dude, I would tell you that unless you're fucking like being offered a mega sweet deal and it's going to be a temporary thing where you can cash out and take that bundle of cash somewhere else, I would stay far the fuck away from Fresno. As far as you can possibly get. It is and I'll tell you this too, it's a tar pit. Fresno is one of those places that people come to, end up hating, but they stay the rest of their lives. Or people are born in and they hate it and they move out of it and then they boomerang back into it. Just don't do it, bro. Just don't do it. Oh, you ain't kidding, dude. California is where bullshit goes to become immortal. Dude, that's a beautiful phrase, and it's absolutely true. Is the desert affordable? No. You're talking about like the high desert, or are you talking about the Mojave? No, the answer is no.
Because people like it for being
Yeah.
remote.
Yeah, the places that you would want to live in the Mojave or in the high desert are all owned by rich people and or they're rich land developments that you got to be rich to be in, right? And you're not going to be able to afford to buy land in those places because it's California, it's prime land. You're talking about the Tehachapi Desert, that's right next to LA. And the Mojave cradles the other end of LA. It's LA. You can't get property in LA, bro. And LA is not just the city. LA is a giant county that all runs on the same fucking wheels. Fresno looks crazy, not even near the coast. I mean, it's near in that you can be at the beach in 2.5 hours. You know what I mean? But no, it's not like you can like take a quick 15-20 minute drive down to the beach. There's very few places like that in California. People don't understand California at all.
No, it's not only long, it's also decently fat.
It's fatter than most states, but it's longer than
Any state.
Yeah. To go from the southern tip of California to the northern tip of California is an all-day affair. You're on the road for 24 straight hours. 24 straight. And that might get you from the Mexican border to the Oregon border. People don't get that. I used to tell people, like, look, dude, it's kind of a shithole, but it's cheap. Like, I used to steer people that way. I used to go like, hey, man, I know Fresno. I know that area. It kind of sucks, bro, but it's hella cheap to live there. It's pretty kickback. Air quality sucks, and it's hot as fuck, but whatever, it's cheap. Now it ain't. So I would say, like, unless your job opportunity is just way better than all the shit that I just said. Like, if they're paying you enough money
to run the best AC and get a super sweet new apartment or
super sweet house, and like if you're making a fucking bunch of bank, do it. If not, I wouldn't even recommend moving to California, period. Because I will tell you this too. I would have an easier time moving to California because I have a network there, right? My whole family is there. If you've got nobody to fucking help you out, no friends, no family, nobody that has your back, California ain't gonna work for you, dog, unless you're rich. If you're already rich, you'll be fine. You'll have plenty of friends. But if you don't got nobody in California, especially now, climate and economy wise, you better just stay the fuck away, bro. You need a fallback plan if you're in California. Hustlers only need apply. Are you a mooch? You a grown ass adult? What? No, unhide that punk ass bitch. Unhide that mouthy little punk ass bitch. What did he call me? Unhide that little bitch. What did you call me, little bitch? Say it again, little bitch. Don't talk out of the side of your mouth at me, bro. A mooch. Who'd I mooch off of? Why don't you tell me something about me I don't know? Who I mooch off of? Little bitch. Thanks for answering to your name, by the way. Anybody else? You're going to be... No, I said if you don't have a network, California can be real tough. I didn't say mooch. I said you need to know people that have your back. Bro got mad? Yeah, bro got mad. Bro don't like people talking shit. So why don't you keep your assumptions out your mouth? You don't know me. I don't know you. Never had my hand out one time in my life. Not once. Never asked my family for a fucking thing. Never imposed on another human being with my fucking existence. What's with this dumb idea that if you get mad, you lose an argument? That's children. That's just being a child. Natural assumption given California. Maybe you're wrong about most of people in California, bro. You ever think about that? Maybe you don't know shit about California. Maybe not. Or maybe that's right. Maybe you were just wrong about me. That's right, bro. Whatever the case may be, keep your assumptions to yourself. Don't pop off at the mouth in here and you'll be fine. Yeah, it makes an ass out of you and me. You know the saying. Make assumptions about people, man. Lived there 9 years and I do apologize to you. Well, good. I accept your apology. That's how men handle it. You see? I accept your apology. And maybe don't be assuming shit about people because you don't know shit. You don't know shit about me. But you seem to know about California. What? You lived there 9 years. You got something to say about it. Oh, won't come out. I always assume. You always have to make assumptions. That's what keeps you alive. Well, I mean, I understand what you mean by that. But being on the internet and just talking to people, dude, I can't whip out the blicky and rob you and take your fucking underwear off of you right now. There's no need. There's no need to assume everybody's a piece of shit. Because you might be surprised to find out most people aren't pieces of shit. There's quite a few pieces of shit, but most people are mad decent. That's what I have found out. If you give them the opportunity to be. If you don't come brolic. Now, remember, mad decent don't mean like ready to absorb your bullshit. You come brolic, most people are going to meet you where you meet them, is what I'm saying. If you are willing to reach out in decency and honesty to a person, most people will grab your hand and shake it. But you come brolic right off the jump, right off the rip. Thanks for calling it out and sticking it out, showing the chat. Well, I mean, I give people the opportunity, right? Like that dude could have very easily just doubled down and I would have told my people to ban him, right? There's only so much you can do. But when somebody comes with presumptuous disrespect immediately, I always try to give them the chance to understand what they're doing is the same thing as walking up to somebody on the street and saying the same thing. And I guarantee you, dude, don't do that. You know what I mean? I treat you the same way I'd treat you if you said this shit to me on the street. Right? That's what makes it interesting to me. If it's all fakery and it's all people pretending to be brolic, but they're little fucking wisps in real life, you know what I mean? That to me, that badass play acting shit, it don't work for me. Well, respect then. And I can tell you this, if that is true, and I assume that it is, retired Marine, that is probably why you're still in here and you managed, you and I managed to come to some sort of fucking resolution about it. Right? I presume a bit of maturity comes out of you at the other end of the Marines, right? That's why I have my people unban you. Because the way you came at me mature but disrespectful. And I wanted to see if the mature beat the disrespect, and it did. Where's your guns? I don't talk about my guns.
I think that one wanted to get comfy.
I think he wants us in there.
Yeah.
And he's very confused by the goings on.
I think he'll settle for just sitting on the couch by his lonesome.
Yep. Some talk about it, others be about it. I'm not even like a big, I'm gonna put you in the face type of guy. I'm not. I'm 100% not. I'm not a fighter. I probably would not be all that good at fighting. You know what I mean? But there's a certain amount of shit you take and a certain amount of shit you don't. And I treat people in public and in my personal life with respect. And when I don't, I apologize to them. That's just the way it works. And I put that expectation on everybody that pulls through here. You know what I mean? Because that's the expectation I travel around with. And that's the way that is. You shouldn't have to fight for real. No, you really shouldn't have to. But I just kind of have a standing thing, and it's always done me in good stead. I don't like being threatened with physical violence, and when somebody does, I invite them to do it. Calmly. I'm gonna beat your ass. I say, all right, let's go. And maybe I'll meet the wrong one someday, but I've never met the wrong one yet. That's never ended in me getting an ass beating. Most people are using "I'm gonna beat your ass" as a conversation stopper. It's the way that they win without winning. And I don't let people win without winning. You want to stop the conversation? Weird lie. I'm 45 years old, bro. What do I have to make? Like, why would I need to make stupid shit up? It doesn't even make me look badass.
Yeah, it's like you said. You basically just said, "I don't get in fights."
Right.
You didn't claim to win a fight.
No. I'm not a Billy Badass. I'm not an MMA guy. I'm not running around telling everybody I could beat them up. But I invite people to try. If they bring it to me and they think that's going to shut down the conversation or make me back away or change position, they're wrong. I'll put my dukes up and I'll invite them to throw it. Doobie or Siggy? What does it matter? Does it matter to you? You look like you'll win. Looks can be deceiving, bro. I'm not a violent person. I don't have that violent killer instinct thing that dudes that are really good fighters have. I don't have that shit. It is always, always my instinct to discuss things and work something out between two individuals. I am never the guy that takes it, "I'm gonna beat your ass." Never. That's not a solution to the problem for me. But I also don't let people threaten me. You know what I mean? I've been threatened quite a few times in my life, and I've always responded pretty much the same way. How's my night going? Pretty cool. Pretty chill. It's nice out here tonight. I think there's like a party going on in my little neighborhood. I saw a lot of cars parked out over there.
Fuck ton of cars.
So I think somebody's having like a cookout tonight, which is chill. I'm just having a smoke out. Have you ever lost a fight? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've had my ass beat a couple of times before. I mean, you're gonna have to. I maybe not these days. I don't know. I kind of feel like in order to be in school and to come up through school, in my time, you kind of had to get in a fight or two. That's the way of. I don't know anybody that wasn't in a couple fist fights. You know what I mean? Coming up. Yeah. And I've been in some fights in those contexts where I feel like I probably got the better of it, and I've been in some fights, probably more, that I feel like I got the worst of it. You know? Got a laceration on my finger at work. I needed 6 stitches. Ever happen to you? Yeah. I mean, I've gotten stitches. Cut myself at work before.
Make sure you go through that workers shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Report it to whatever and fucking send them the bill.
Bro, you are old. You ain't fighting shit. Okay. I mean, that's fine. I'm not claiming that I'm fighting shit. There's a lot of brolic dudes in here that feel very, like...
They feel offended.
Yeah.
Like they feel like
they're like I'm emasculating you. I'm not claiming to be a Billy Badass. I don't know if you're not listening.
No, I think they're just getting sensitive because they're the type that
they're the type that throw around the fucking threat, and they don't like hearing that it doesn't work on everybody. Here's what I'm saying. Let me get past the subtext. Most people that say, "I'm about to beat your ass," are the last people to actually throw a punch. 100%. I put that on phonam grave. The first dude to start popping off and getting brolic with his mouth is the last dude to actually throw blows. So I always invite the mouth dude to take it to that next step, because I've had my ass beat. I survived it. You know what I mean? I'll survive it again. I'm willing. They're usually not. What's my hoodie say? It says, "Did TJ shit his britches?" Obviously, 51%. Clearly, yes, 50%. It's a poll that proves that TJ shit his britches. That's all. You were right.
He's just gonna give up and go sit on the couch eventually.
I would like to get him a little outdoor bed.
I think that's why he kind of wants to go in sometimes. Is he just like, I'm just kind of uncomfy out here with you guys.
He ain't got nowhere to lay down that's soft, and he's an old man now. He needs something soft on his booty.
Yep.
I need to smoke a joint. Bro, I'm doing it. Fuck, bro. Man. I've never met so many people in my life until I started doing these where a motherfucker will just be 180 degrees wrong. Literally facing the wrong way and pointing at the wrong thing. Like, I've never met so many motherfuckers in my life in a row. It's crazy. And then they just disappear, too. Like, they just... Oh! It's like, what the fuck? Smoking. Wait a minute. You got invited to a D&D game by a smoking hot nerd girl. Bro, those are like unicorns. I don't know jack about the game. Any advice? Have fun with it. Focus on playing the character. Don't worry about the rules. They'll correct you on the rules. They're going to help you out. Have fun playing the character and riz it up. Don't be creepy, though. Don't have your character hit on her character. That's no bueno. That's gay. That's a gay way to hit on a broad. Okay? No. But have your character be cool and have fun playing it, and she's gonna know, bro. She'll see. The riz will come through. I used to play video games with some hot nerd girls. I mean, they're out there, bro. Hot nerd gamer girls are out there. Yeah, don't have your character hit on hers, bro. That is not the way. Okay, this is not the way. Yeah. A D&D is not a video game. It's not about being the strongest, fastest, and bestest. And it's not about beating up everything you come across. Treat it like a movie. Treat it like a theater. Have an idea for your character outside of, I want to beat everything up with a big axe, right? Metallica or Megadeth, neither, to be honest with you. I'm not a big metal guy. I'm a hip hop head, so if you're gonna give me these lame ass either ors, give me hip hop either ors, because I'm probably gonna have a way stronger opinion on that. Drake or Kendrick, ooh, I kind of hate both of those dudes though. But I guess if I gotta choose Kendrick by a hair, you like Hank Jr.? I like Hank. I like Hank Jr. and I like Hank the Third. I like all the Hanks. Kid Cudi or Young Thug? Ooh. Young Thug. Hippies are on YouTube. Yeah, dude. We're out here. We're outside. Why you hate Kendrick? It's just on my fucking shit, bro. I don't know what to tell you. Do you have a workout routine? Yeah, I lift the spoon to my mouth. I do like 60 curls on each arm, 60 scoops. Has Eminem made more bad music than good? He's getting there. He's getting there. That answer would have been hell no about 10 years ago, but he getting there now. Yeah, no, we hippies are out here, man. We're out here doing it. We're out here living it. Best mumble rapper? Ooh. Dude, I want to give it to so many different dudes. Travis Scott could definitely get the mumble rap award, but my personal favorite, the guy that the dude, look, say what you want about him, got me back into hip hop. I was very boomer about hip hop about, I'd say, like 10 years ago. Very boomer. I was very much like, dude, 90s hip hop was the apex, the 2000s was garbage, and now this mumble rap, fucking faggot rap, fucking Xanax rap bullshit, SoundCloud bullshit is just fucking worthless, unlistenable trash, fucking bullshit, bro. Right? I was literally that. And then you guys are gonna fucking laugh at me, bro. You guys are gonna laugh at me. Everybody always laughs at me, but you know what? Whatever it takes, right, to wake you up out of your boomerhood. I heard a song called D Rose by Lil Pump, and that song kicked me in the ass and made me realize that shit was banging in a different way. And so I started listening to all kinds of new artists, and now today I'm all into the new shit and blah 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 blah. I know you're laughing at me. That early Lil Pump though, talking like D Rose and like Ooh and Boss, that era of Lil Pump, you can't tell me it doesn't slap. I'll slap you in the mouth. Early Lil Pump. As he went along, he got like super duper ultra dodeca cringe and started really sucking, and he got like a big old pop belly on him and started like, got old and stupid and rich. I like young, stupid, and rich. that was when he was at his best, when he was young, stupid, and rich. Lil Pump, now Peepaw Pump, dude. But yeah, that, I like that mumble rap era though. Probably not, man. The dude that I worked with that produced Beauregard with me went fucking ape shit, Christian conspiracy theorist, and like knifed everybody. I can't. That whole character didn't really exist outside of my collaboration with him, which I thoroughly enjoyed, by the way. All salt aside, all fucking bad blood aside. But yeah, no, dude went off his fucking nut, bro. I don't know what to tell you. Probably not. I want to say Lil Pump makes MAGA country music now. Oh. That's gross, man. I like some of these drill rappers. Those old guys are really cool. Something similar happened to a friend of mine. Was a hardcore Bernie supporter, campaign 80 plus hours, now full MAGA Christian nationalist. Bro. What happened to Kanye? I think a lot of you, and I'm not trying to little bro you, I think a lot of you just haven't been listening to Kanye for long enough. Kanye has been steadily slipping out of his mind since late registration, I would say. And I don't know, like, how to explain it to you guys, but this is a touchy subject. Kanye is right now, right? But I have to tell you guys, dude, I think Kanye is fucking brilliant, even to this day. Do I like the new Nazi music? No. It's fucking, I mean, I gotta be honest with you, the Heil Hitler one kind of slaps. Like, it's catchy. But do I like it? No. I mean, kinda. This is where it gets touchy, right? Because I know that Kanye has always been crazy, right? And he's just been kind of slipping further into that crazy. That's how I see the arc of Kanye's career, is like his ego is taken over. And so, like, for me, I would never sign on to a Kanye West idea, but I'll bump a Kanye West song because I think the dude is fucking brilliant as a producer and as an artist. Do I think everything that he shits out of his mouth is brilliant? No. Do I think everything he's ever created is brilliant? No. If I were his, like, advisor, would I advise him to do this Nazi shit? No. But, you know what I mean? Like, he's still the guy that made 808s and Heartbreak. Still the guy that made My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, right? He's still fucking Kanye West. He's still that guy. You know, and if you can't see it in him anymore, then maybe you've been looking at it from a different perspective. I don't know. And I'd like to think that Kanye will come to his senses in his own way someday and ditch the fucking divisive ass fucking. Because, like, listen, if you listen to the Heil Hitler song, right? Let's fucking talk about this. If you listen to that song, the lyrics of that song are all about confessional, right? He's at a point where he feels like he has so much money that he can just say whatever the fuck he wants. And he can be as honest as he wants about himself. Right? And so if you listen to the lyrics of the song, he talks about how he's a cuck. He likes it when dudes fuck on his bitch. That he's into that, right? But most of the song is him lamenting the fact that I've got all this money, I've got all this power. I literally have the ability to do and say whatever I want. I'm like a god on this earth with the amount of money and influence and ability to do whatever I need to do. But I can't see my children. I'm still second to the judicial system, second to my ex-wife, and her ability to keep me from my children. Right? And so I became a Nazi. Now I'm the villain. It is so ill-advisable for him to tie himself into the most easily and correctly vilified human being ever, right? One of the worst human beings that ever existed on planet Earth, right? It doesn't make sense. Outside of his twisted mind, it doesn't make sense. But in his mind, you have to understand, guys, Think about this. Kanye West has lived in a bubble of congratulatory bullshit for 20 years now, man. This dude doesn't have anybody nearby him that isn't terrified of pissing him off, that'll tell him shit, that'll tell him the type of shit that your homie will tell you. Hey, dude, you're fucking up. Your slip is hanging. This is fucking up. Nobody can't tell. He says it, right? Can't nobody tell me nothing, right? And so, right, if you put yourself or try to put yourself in his Yeezys, right, he's lived in a giant bubble created by his own volatility and ego and drug abuse, right? And he's surrounded by people who don't love him, but want that association with him because of what it brings. And everybody around him is terrified of going like, hey, Kanye, this is bullshit, bro. You need to stop. You need help. Because they know he'll just fire them. And then fucking rat them out on Twitter for every stupid, dumb thing they ever did together, right? And so he's like living in a different fucking time zone than everybody else, right? He's on a different wavelength. Hey, Paul, real quick. I know nothing's in stone. Just curious if you can tell me a West Coast meetup will be near SoCal. Probably not, bro. Well, I mean, near. It's on the West Coast, so to me, that's near enough. But no, it's not going to be in California. I can tell you that much right now. Unless some shit changes, but as of right now, the plans are not California. Not this year, anyway. I don't know, man. It's just like, to me, I've always had no problem separating art from artist. And when the artist's art starts to challenge me and make me feel like, oh, I shouldn't listen to this, or oh, this is gross, that makes, like, as an appreciator of art, I lean harder into it. You know what I mean? It makes me want to try harder to learn something about that art and to see if what I can see from it. It makes me want to, like, figure it out. You know what I mean? I don't run from a challenging piece of art just because it makes me offended. Oh. Sorry. No worries. It's a habit, dude. I've done it to you. It's a good instinct to have to lock your door, even when your husband's sitting on the back porch in his pajamas. It works. He also claimed earlier this year he had gay incestuous sex with his cousin. I don't even know if he's being truthful or not. Why would anyone openly share that? So I'm trying to, the best I can, reach into the mindset of Kanye West through the only lens that I think he really gives us, which is his music. And the answer to that question is that Kanye West, you know, I've talked about this bubble, right, that he lives in. He has lived in this bubble now for 2 decades where there's nobody. I think his mother was probably the last person in his life that could really reach him. And when she passed, everybody else is on the payroll, man. You know what I'm talking about? Even his wife. Even Kim couldn't reach him. I don't think there's anybody that can reach him because there is no facility by which you can take away a person's fucking money just because they're crazy, unless that person hurts themselves or another person or is threatening to do so. And as far as I know, he's not doing that. You know, Kanye West is just saying controversial shit in his music. He's obviously saying it to piss people off, to shake people up, to make people more interested in listening to it and figuring it out and memeing about it, right? He's a pretty good at that marketing thing. But, you know, I think it's a pretty big mistake. I think people are going to call him out for it forever. And I do think that when he moves on to something else and when his music mutates again into whatever beautiful new form it will take, that he's going to have a hard time shaking the stain of it, you know? Right, but you see, here's the problem. Britney's conservatorship, number one, was pretty notoriously abusive to her, and two, was instituted by her family. Kanye doesn't have anybody. It's kind of sad. He's got no family. He's got no real friends. He's got nobody that isn't leeching off of him in some way for clout or recognition. And he doesn't trust anybody, and nobody trusts him. And I think Donda was the last person on the planet that had that type of relationship with Kanye. And I think without her influence, he's just gone. You know? And that's sad because it's true of so many fucking people in the world. And Kanye West as an artist is, if anything, it's a window into that at this point. And you know what? Sadness has inspired just as much art as joy and love have, maybe more. And so, if you see the pain behind what he's doing, what would cause a man to lash out to the point where he labels himself a Nazi and invites the derision of it, right? That's a very sad, low thing. And I can hear that sad lowness in this new album that, you know, has leaked, right? World War II, he's calling it, I guess. Or World War III, or whatever it's called. But, you know, from what I've heard of it, it just sounds like I can hear the sadness in it. And that speaks to a certain part of me, even if the harshness and the weird associations and the language that offends my sensibilities doesn't. 90s electronic music. Here's a banger that nobody knows. God Lives Underwater released a song called In Your Mouth. That fits the bill, man. You check it out a little bit, and maybe you already know it. But if you don't, it's worth a check out. It's a bop, man. Band name God Lives Underwater. Song name In Your Mouth. Or From Your Mouth. I think it's From Your Mouth. Hi, brother. Hi. Probably because in general it's hard to feel bad for multimillionaire, but maybe he feels like no one giving him any sympathy, so he's lashing out. Yeah. I don't know, man. Human beings are inherently broken things. All of us. All of us put a very strong front up, but we have deep, deep regret, deep sadness in our lives. Some of us have deep, deep, dark secrets. And things like, oh man, I messed around with my cousin when I was a teenager, and it just brings shame to you, right? And Kanye West as an artist is plumbing the depths of his own emotional life as uh, uh, frankly retarded by mania as it may be, he's giving us a very rare window into the human psyche, and that's why I love his music. I don't necessarily feel bad for Kanye West. I feel bad for his circumstance. I feel bad for a man who can't see his children because he's too crazy and doesn't have any real friends because he's too rich. You know, that I feel for, right? I feel for what Kanye West is. I think Kanye West has by and large put himself in the position he's in. But who cares about Kanye West? Huh? I guess nobody. You know, that's not what you're supposed to do when you're reacting to Kanye West of late. You're supposed to go, "Oh, it's fucking disgusting. He's a piece of shit. Fuck Kanye West. I just, oh, fucking Nazi bullshit." You know, whatever, dude. Everybody knows you're not a Nazi. You don't have to fucking remind everybody you're not a Nazi because Kanye West made a Nazi song. I just don't get it. You know, I mean, but maybe I just, you know, and I'm not saying I'm good, bad, right, or wrong. Maybe I just experience art differently than some people do. I think there's a threshold of fame a person should never achieve. I'm not a big on shoulds and nevers. You know, um, people people have wildly different capacities to deal with different stressors, and some people thrive in environments where other people would wither. You know, are people mentally capable of dealing with fame up to a certain point? Yes. Yeah. I don't. I don't. I think theoretically people can deal with it in healthy ways. I think that there are examples of people that are pretty broadly famous who deal with it pretty healthy ways. But I also think that it can be dealt with unhealthily, and that there are maybe even more examples of people who have dealt with it in very unhealthy ways. So I don't know how to answer the question with without digging, I guess, and giving a qualified answer. Ugh, shut the fuck up, retard. See you next alt. I prefer wine myself. Altar wine. Yeah, I don't really like drinking, to be honest with you. I was so pissed at last night when the wheel made me drink. It wasn't that bad, you know. One beer did nothing to me, but I just hate it. I've just gotten to the point in my life where like drinking is something I do very occasionally, and I usually don't enjoy it very much when I do it. I like to get stoned, man. Amelia ever tell you what was in that drink? She blended super strong spearmint tea, made like a quadruple strength batch, and then mixed it with orange juice concentrate. It's basically like the closest she could come to stirring up toothpaste and dissolving it and just mixing that with OJ. That's what it was. It was disgusting. I think the bigger issue is the public placing these people on a pedestal like they're gods. Look at Princess Diana. They hounded her till she died. Yeah, it's true. Because you're anxious? No, bro. Hey, I'll tell you this. It's happened to me before, man. There was a point, I'm trying to remember when it was. Amelia would probably remember. Probably like 3 or 4 years ago, man, where it's like every time I would even smoke just a little bit of weed, I'd have a panic attack. Man, my shit was fucked up. And I was having, even without the weed, I was having tons of panic attacks then. I was really having like mental crisis mode. And I just had to quit the shit, bro. And I'm talking like, yeah, maybe you having the same thing where it's just like, dude, I would spark up a J and I would hit it one time. And all of a sudden I'd be like, my heart's gonna fucking stop, dude. It was just bad, bro. Just bad shit, right? Bad juju, bad vibes, bad fucking thoughts, right? I can't tell you what helped other than, yeah, you get clammy and shit. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I can tell you what I did, but this is not a recommendation because it just ain't for some people, man. But and I didn't do it to get back on weed. It was just I went and got help. So I got on a medication that I'm on. It's not without its fucking side effects, but it keeps me from having panic attacks every 5 seconds of every day. Because I was getting to the point where I was having 2, 3 big hour-long lockdown panic attacks a day. So I was getting real bad, man, and trying to push through and work and all that shit. So yeah, I got on medication, and then after I'd been on the medication for a few months, I decided like, hey, I'll try some weed, and wouldn't you know, it affected me just like it used to. Not Xanax, no. No, I don't take benzos. I found well, I mean, I guess I can just, it's a, what do they call it? SSRI, right? And it's one of the ones that has a heavy anti-anxiety component to it, right? Like it's more for anxiety than depression because that's how my shit expresses itself. So, yeah. Like I have a little bit, like, well, not a little bit, but it's like depression, anxiety, you know. For me, anyway. But that shit, I gotta be honest with you, dude. I've been on and off of psychological meds since I was 13. It was right around 13 that I would first got put on psych meds because I was having horrible anxiety and depression and shit. And I've spent years and years of my life completely off the meds, and years of my life on all kinds of different meds trying to find one that works. And what I finally came to after all those years of struggling was find one that works, that doesn't completely destroy your life with the side effects, and just stay with it. And that's what I did. Why these are real things we should talk about. Sure. Yeah, no. I mean, like I'm not ashamed. I just want to stop short of telling people like, "Hey, you should go get on this." I'm not your doctor, bro. I'm trying to tell you the opposite. I'm trying to tell you that from the time I was 13 until about 3 years ago, I didn't have the right medication, and I tried like probably a dozen or more different fucking medications and then combinations of those, different dosages, and you know what I mean, until I found one that kind of fucking helps. So You know, I don't like people presuming the things that I take, right? Because I talk openly about my mental problems and stuff. I don't like people presuming. Like, dude that popped up in here was like, Xanax. It's like, no, dude. No, I know what that is. I've been on Xanax before. And the answer is nah, dude. Not for me. I mean, look, dude, smoking ain't everything. And if you're pretty fucking chill and level headed in your normal life, fucking charge it to the game, bro. It just ain't for you no more. I'd give this up in a second if it meant that I could go off my meds and not have panic attacks every fucking second of every day. Like, if I could do that, I would never smoke again, bro. Ever. It just doesn't exist for me. You know what I mean? Like, the truth of the matter is, without that regulatory, medicine, I just don't do well in general. Personally, interpersonally, blah, 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 blah. Hey, no, then, man, I gotta tell you, dude, it sucks, but it's charged to the game, bro. Like I said, weed is cool. I've been weed is one of the things that helps me usually with my anxiety. It was the first thing I ever self-medicated with, right? I started smoking weed not by accident right around 12 or 13 years old. And I've done it my whole life off and on, right? Because it's always something that, well, not always. I said there have been times in my life where I just can't, you know what I mean? But since I found a regulatory med, I don't go through those times very often. CPAP was another big thing too for me. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was fucking dying, bro. I think I've like normalized a little bit now. I was a little manic for about 6 months after the CPAP, man. It was a little wild, but it needed to happen, man. I've been living like a fucking zombie for 10 years. So, there's nothing wrong with weed. No. I'm not saying there is anything wrong with weed. Wow, looks like I'm gonna have to try mental health meds again. Oh, dude, I hate to tell you this, but and again. I'm not lying to you when I told you that, like, 13 and I'm now 45. And it was 3 years ago that I found a med combo that worked good for me. Right? And I tried on and on. Oh, fuck this. And I'd be off of it. And I'd just get worse and worse. Right? My life would get close to unlivable. I'd go get help again. They put me on something that would kind of help, but it would destroy some other aspect of my life. So I'd get off of it after 6 months, and I'd try something else, and then I'd try something else, and then I'd say, fuck it, and I'd go off of it, and my life would go off the rails again. Like, that's basically my life, right? And the only constant for me has been weed. You know, that's been the only thing that I've ever done that I think helped me, that didn't rob a ton of my life from me. And the medication that I'm on now in combo, right, is what it takes for me at this point in my life. What is this new shit? I don't know. You're number one, Merrick. It's just some fucking, it's a new monkey button that YouTube rolled out unceremoniously. You got me. If you click on it, Merrick, it'll tell you some shit. Like, you gain XP for doing this, but you didn't do any of those things probably. And it says it resets every stream. So you're number one, bro. You're number one. You're the king of you're king shit tonight. Another one. Another one. But no, yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do to get by, man. Yeah, I have to learn to work around this shit, and I deal with the side effects of it all the time. Like, it makes me, it basically saps me of my natural kind of energy. That's one of the side effects that I've chosen. You know what? I'm just going to deal with it. I'll take a nap. How about that? I'm fucking 45 years old. I'll take a nap. Fine. If that's what it takes to get me through the day without panic attacks and shit, I'll do that. Hmm. One of those things, man. Have you read much Stephen King? If so, what were your favorites? Yeah. I read a lot of Stephen King. I like it. It is like such an epic novel. It's more like it's not the movies really don't capture it. The novel it is about it's more of the biography of a little town and all of the fucking problems that simmer under the surface of these idyllic little towns from that era, the 50s and shit, right? When Stephen King grew up. So there's a lot of that in it, and it is more of a biographical novel about the seedy underbelly of this city, and it's monsterified and personified in Pennywise, right? I like that about it. I'm also a big fan of The Stand. The Stand is another one of those books that's more like a eulogy for the human race wrapped around this fantasy story about the last survivors, right? It's a really interesting book by him. I like some of his anthology works a whole lot too. My favorite one is Everything's Eventual. That has 1408 in it. That has the titular Everything's Eventual, which is really good. It has a lot of really good stories in it, and it's my favorite of his anthology works. But they're always a good thing to pick up if you're not looking to get into a big giant thing like it, right? I hate naps. I always feel worse when I wake up, like I didn't drink water for 3 days. I read a little bit of Dean Koontz. Watchers, I think, is my favorite Dean Koontz. I read a couple, and I think is it called Watchers? I liked Dean Koontz quite a bit, actually. I read Stephen King because my dad was super into Stephen King. My dad like would bring home these dirty paperbacks that he was reading at work, you know, on his breaks and shit. They were always like greasy because he was a mechanic. So, you know, by the time he was done with them, he would bring them home because he knew I liked to read, and I would just snatch whatever looked fun and I'd read it. I like he did a fantasy book. What is it called again? Something Eyes of the Dragon? Is that what it's called? I think it is called Eyes of the Dragon. But it was interesting. It didn't feel much like Stephen King at all, which was cool. But no, yeah. Stephen King definitely got me into reading as a lifelong kind of thing. And my dad just kind of liked him as a time killer. I was on a jury one time for 6 months, and I read three Stephen King books while I was on that jury, sitting in the jury room waiting to be, you know, called in to actually hear. Maybe like we'd be there for an 8-hour day, right? That was supposed to be solid testimony so we could actually move the trial forward, and the jury would actually be in the jury box for maybe 20 to 30 minutes of an 8-hour day. It was retarded. Anyway, that's another story. But yeah, no, I read three Stephen King books on that I hadn't read. Dance Macabre, I'd never read that. Um, uh, Rose Matter, and what was the third one? Oh, I read Cell. My uncle got me started with Clive Cussler books. Used to read those with him. What was that anthology book you mentioned? Everything's Eventual is what it's called. It's a really good book. I think you'll like it if you like Stephen King stuff. Pet Cemetery is really good. Yeah. Do you enjoy being on jury duty? I know you've discussed it before, but would you do it again or not? I mean, you kind of don't have the choice. If I get called up and summoned and thrown on a jury, I'll be on a jury, I guess. But you know, part of me did enjoy it. It was really frustrating not being in court as much as you think a jury would be. But it's nothing like it is on the TVs where all these dynamic things happen every day. And you're like, you know, some dynamic shit would happen and some crazy shit would happen, but it would be in such short bursts that were punctuated with these long deserts of boredom and nothing happening, and you just getting frustrated at opposing counsel, just bickering all the time, you know what I mean, and approaching the bench every 15 seconds because you know them approaching the bench multiple times eventually leads to the, like, I don't know if it was like the judge in our case was a pushover for procedure or what, but it was just like we knew it. Like at a certain point on that jury, about like 6 weeks in, we knew that when they were going up multiple times in a row to talk with the judge, we were about to be kicked out. And then they would kick us out and we would be out sitting in the jury room for 3 hours. We'd come back in. I shit you not, this happened multiple times. We'd come back in after 3 hours of nothing. They would start objection, right? They would ask one question, and before the person on the stand could answer, objection. Your Honor, approach. All right. They'd go up, and we'd all go like, and sure enough, they'd send us back out for another hour. It was retarded, bro. The procedure is so, but the moments that it was actually like the trial was actually, yeah, you go to the jury room and you wait. They can't like have open discussions about things that aren't testimony in front of the jury. And so when there's something in the trial that they disagree on, they can object, but they can't like make an argument for why they're objecting publicly in full earshot of the jury, because that's testimony, right? That it could color how we perceive it. And so they have to approach. And when they approach, that's eventually they just get sick of having to whisper to the judge, and the judge kicks out the jury. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, can you please make your way to the jury room? We'll call you back as soon as we can. Everybody groans. We all go, right? And then they argue for 3 hours about what they can and can't answer, what they can't and can or can't ask this witness. Did you see yourself being a defensive attorney? No. Just what I said, Merrick. I mean, nothing. It was like it would be like, what is the, because typically it's about scope. That's what I learned, right? What is the scope of this trial? What is the scope of what you can ask a character witness, right? And so it was 90% of the arguments were about scope, the scope of the trial. What can and can't the defense attorney ask in cross to this witness? What's within the scope, what's outside of the scope of the trial, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Could you see yourself being a defense attorney? Oh, you already asked that and I already answered. Just pretend you didn't get the summons. I don't know, civic duty and all that. I would hope that somebody picks up the summons if I'm accused of some shit and go to trial I didn't do. I would hope a lot of people picked up the summons so we'd have a wide selection of people, right? Did anyone ever open the door? What do you mean? Open the door. I got summoned once, forgot to fall for instructions, haven't heard anything about it since. Yeah, I mean, they really aren't super litigious about it. And if you move around a lot, chances are you'll never get hit up. The only reason I got hit up for like active jury summons was because I was born and raised in an area that I still lived in my fucking 20s and 30s, you know? So. But it was an interesting thing. It's, hey, Peter, what up, dog? I gotta make you a mod, dude. I don't know why you're not a mod. I always notice you. But I never make you a mod. There you go. Peter the mod. My understanding of opening the door is when someone tries to bring up a subject piece of evidence that both attorneys agreed would not be brought up in the trial. Well, once again, like, we don't get to overhear these arguments. We would hear objection, scope, or objection, declarative, or objection. And then once there were enough objections, can we approach? And then we would be kicked out. So it could be any number of those things, those objections, or just the number of objections that are coming up in general, and one side asking the judge to reprimand the other side for misusing the objections to obstruct the process, the other side arguing for the validity of their objections, going back through the court records to see the objections, argue the validity of each one, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Never. Never, Spino. I will never make you a mod. It's never even crossed my mind in a bad fucking dream that I made you a mod, let alone reality ever coming close. Ever. In a million fucking billion infinity existences across the multiverse, there's not one where I've made you a mod. Not one. You guys are all so goddamn cool. I know. I don't even know why I'm a mod. I don't know either, bro. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. Hey, you ain't never abused it, so whatever. Hey, look, it's another mod. What up, naughty priest? How you doing, pimp? Best way to not be a mod is to ask to be a mod. Yeah, that's true. It's like the first rule of Fight Club and all of that. You don't talk about Fight Club, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think you just said I was chill. Oh yeah. Well, you are pretty fucking chill, so you gotta have a chill mods, you gotta have the killers, you gotta have the metalheads, like Metal Mechanic. Oh yeah. You said some shit was burning in California and it's like it's raining on your parade. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm out of the Cali loop. My mom isn't gonna call me because there's a forest fire somewhere fucking 100 miles from her, so when we lived there, we would look it up because I would feel so fucking sick some days, and then Amelia would look it up and she'd go, "Well, there's a fire like raging out of control 75 miles from here," and I'd be like, "Well, I'm fucking dead for the next week." Because it's just like right in the middle of the summer or the spring where the air is all dead. And that smoke just hangs, man. Anyway, I think I'm out of here. I'll see you guys some other time.